One of the other big assignments you'll need to be aware of, probably the most important assignment, is that you're going to be asked to submit your worksheets about 6 weeks before residency. We'll announce a few weeks before we need those worksheets that the deadline's coming up, and that will be announced in the Thursday memo, which you already know you're expected to keep up with. There are particular details about the length and the requirements of the worksheet, how we'd like to have it submitted, how we want you to label your email when you send it through the MFA Dropbox at spalding.edu, and that's something, an address that I'm sure that you're really familiar with already. But make sure that you take the time to look at those special directions, because it's very helpful to us to receive the file in a particular way. So those worksheets also have to be a particular length. We ask for poets to send a particular number of poems. If you're working in poems and you're a writing for children student, then we ask you to also submit that same number of poems. We have particular requirements for the length of prose and also script writing, so make sure that you're well aware of that. We ask you to meet a minimum page length in your worksheet, and if you don't meet that minimum, then we're going to send the assignment back to you and ask you to add to it. Likewise, we ask you to meet a maximum page length and not go over that maximum page length. And if that happens, you do go over it, then we're going to send it back to you and ask you to shorten the piece or send something else. It's really important. You know, we have 1 hour per student in workshop, and so we need to make sure that we're going to be able to cover the worksheet adequately for you during that hour. So we don't want it to be too short or too long. In addition, if you're sending a partial script, if you're in playwriting or screenwriting, it may be necessary for you to send a treatment so that the workshop understands the holistic nature of the script that you're working on, even though the workshop participants are only seeing part of it. So make sure that you're aware of the deadline, you know the lengths, and you also understand how to submit it. The other thing I'll say to you is that we often tell students that you don't want to send something that's really, really rough to workshop, that needs a lot of work. You want to not also send something that you consider completely finished. It's not useful for you to do that. If you're finished with a piece, you're completely satisfied with it, there's no reason for anyone to give you comments on that piece because you feel satisfied with it. We ask you to think about submitting something that's very polished but not finished. You have taken it up to the place that you can take it with your know-how at this point. You've taken it as far as you can, and you need help at this point. If you send in something that's really rough, then there's going to be a preoccupation by the workshop participants of grammatical errors and things like that, things that you would already know how to clean up if you were only given a little more time. So really make good use of your workshop time. Workshop is the backbone of residency. It can be one of the most important aspects of your residency, and so you want to make sure that you send in a worksheet that's going to provide you the best opportunity to learn and to improve your work. Now, about 3 weeks before residency, you're going to be emailed to your spalding.edu email account your workshop booklet, and you're going to want to download that and print that out as soon as you can. Sometimes people print it out on 3-hole punch paper and put it straight into a binder and begin collecting all the other documents that they're going to need in order to be really organized for residency. So that's something you might think about as well. Let me talk to you about the front page of the workshop booklet. It's important that you pay a good deal of attention to it. For one thing, it will tell you whether or not your workshop leader is going to allow you to use electronic devices in the workshop. That's up to your workshop leader. It's just like any other university course that you might be entered in. Different professors have different requirements and different likes and dislikes about how they want to run the course. So during your workshop, if you see on your workshop booklet cover that your workshop leader has asked you not to bring in a tablet, not to bring in a laptop, because he or she finds it distracting not only for the faculty leader but also for the for the other students, then we ask you to abide by that. So you'll know, even if you like to read from a screen, a tablet screen or a laptop screen, you'll know that you actually have to download that document and put it in a binder. And some faculty members won't care. It doesn't matter at all to them. And if that's the case, then you should feel free to bring your laptop and use it instead of downloading a document into a hard copy. You're welcome to do that. However, I have to say that you also want to make sure that you're ready to send back your worksheets to the participants in your workshop after their critiques are over, immediately after their critiques are over, when the workshop breaks for the day. It's very bad form to not do that. You're missing an assignment requirement if you don't at least email that to the students as you're breaking for a workshop that day. It's bad form for you to do that. Oftentimes it's interpreted by other students that you haven't taken the time to prepare for them as well as they've taken the time to prepare for you. And you know that workshop, or will learn that workshop, needs to be a trusting environment, and it needs to be a respectful environment, and that's one of the ways that we show respect to each other. So actually your workshop leaders will probably be attuned to this. They'll be noticing if you haven't turned back your sheets, and you may be approached about this as well. Now, the other thing on the workshop booklet cover that you'll need to be aware of is the list of students and the order that those students are listed. Generally, we commence the critiques in the order that the student's name appears on the workshop page, the workshop cover page. So you'll know if you're going on a Monday or you're going on a Thursday. We generally have more experienced students leading off the workshop so that the newer students will have a little time to get more acclimated and understand what's expected of them in terms of workshop participation and adding comments to the critique in workshop each day. If you're a new student, or even if you're a returning student, you'll want to read that workshop booklet 3 times. And so you'll want to probably read it through when you get it. Read it through quickly, move from one workshop submission to another so that you read the entire book. Read the front matter that's been made available to you by your workshop leaders. That's always important. That's the material that's going to be discussed on that first day of workshop. And then you might want to set the entire workshop booklet down for a day or 2. And then come back to it and read each individual worksheet very carefully with the idea of helping that student improve his or her writing. So you'll want to make comments in the margins, you'll want to annotate. If you find grammatical problems, point them out. That's always helpful. You'll probably find that in your workshop you won't be spending a lot of time talking about these sort of micro problems and grammar and such, but it's nice to have them pointed out. I love to have things pointed out to me when I share my work with other writers. You'll also want to make more global comments, overall summaries that you will include at the end of each workshop worksheet, and those can be a paragraph or so. If you're a little unsure about that, you can go to the MFA student handbook and look up what we're looking for in those summaries. You might talk about problems with structure. You might talk about problems with tone or characterization or meter or pacing. Any of those things can be discussed in that overall summary comment. But also be sure to share the things that you think are working well in the worksheet that you've been looking at, because we find that that's really helpful too, don't we? And then the third time that you'll want to read the workshop booklet, you want to read each worksheet as a review just before you go into workshop, because a lot of things are going to be going on, and you want to make sure that the worksheet material is fresh in your mind before you enter in the critique for that student, because you know that that student will also be doing that for you as well. So those are the 3 types of reading that you want to be doing over the same material. I think if you do prepare in this way, that you'll be really ready to go and be very valuable to your peers, but also it will provide you a wonderful lesson for yourself in preparation and participating in the workshop as well. So keep those things in mind, and I think you're going to have a great workshop if you do.